People love those lever
Right.
guns, man. They're awesome.
Yeah, lever guns hold a mystique, man.
Yeah, they do.
People, yeah,
Dude, it's
but
ingrained in us. I honestly think it's like, I don't know, biology. Like there's just something about those guns that, kind of established the West, and it's
yeah,
our
it's a
ancestors that did it.
yeah, it's a very American thing. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Kind
Yep.
of like bison and mule deer, and just
Exactly.
it's a very American thing, and so people are into them all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, 100%. Speaking of news, dude, did you hear about Mountain Archery Fest?
Uh-uh.
They're
What
done.
happened?
They're done.
Done.
Brandon Waddell, he's been on the show or on the podcast, and then I met him a couple times and whatnot. Anyways, yeah, he posted a video the other day on Mountain Archery Fest Instagram and Facebook, and said that they're closing their doors. They're not going to do any more Mountain Archery Fest anymore.
Just no money in it, or what?
No, I think it's more of just a bunch of other stuff going on with him and his life, and the board. He has a board of directors that help kind of run the show there, and
The show.
just made a decision that it need to go a different route, do some different things, and so it sounds like he's gonna back out completely and just
Wow.
be done. So
Crazy.
it's honestly like heartbreaking, dude, because he had some really good like shoots that were out there.
Right. So is TAC still doing it? That's the only shoot now?
No, so there's TAC and there's the Western Hunt Fest. So TAC's the only traditional,
That style.
yeah, where you just go shoot 3D courses on a ski slope and whatnot. So Western Hunt Fest, it's more of like you've got like some physical aspects to it, where you got to carry an elk hind quarter so far. You got to do so many different physical things.
Right.
In fact, it's Guy with Western Contours. You remember him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he's the one that him and a buddy that started. I had them on the podcast a little bit ago. But so they started it, but it's brand new. And then I guess that's really it for the Western U.S. There's a couple out east, but that's really it for the Western U.S. now.
Crazy.
So
we'll see. What's funny about that, and I suggested this not to get right into the trap stuff, and we can talk about.
Let's get into it, man. We're recording, man. Let's get into it.
I suggested it because typically in sporting clays, the age is a lot older. Like most of it is a lot of older people, because it's an expensive sport.
Right.
I kind of link it to golf. Guys that do it a lot typically are older.
Yeah.
And it's really mental. You got a lot of mental.
Kind of like archery and golf.
Yeah. I suggested it to the guy, and he was not a fan because he's older. But I said, you should do a shoot called the Hunter Classic. And he goes, and what's that? And I said, well, you would have to hike the course, which that was immediately, we'd lose all our people.
Old guys are like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah. Like I'm not driving around, or I'm not going to drive around in my side-by-side. But I told him you had to hike the course, and then you had to shoot two variations, subclasses, which is super sporting, and fee task, which we can get into what those are down the road. But I was like, that would be a lot of fun, because it's geared a lot more to hunting, right?
Yeah.
It's not just target shooting, those two things. But yeah, they were not a fan.
That's interesting, because I think that could be, I mean, you could pull some people into that, because like you think about the upland game hunters out there, and all the different kind of like bird shooting, sports that are out there. Like you can start pulling a lot of different people, and it would be very unique. And just like kind of how like fitness has worked its way into the hunting industry, you might be able to work fitness into I'm gonna call it the trap shooting.
It's a variation of it. I mean, it's all different, but you're not wrong.
I thought it was just funny when we were texting. Sporting clays. Sorry, folks. It's sporting clays. Just make sure you get that right. But anyways, bringing fitness into that, or more of a, not that tax fitness, but you do have to hike. It's a bit of a grind to do those things, and so to kind of add that to it, yeah, you might tap into an untapped resource there.
Yeah. Trap is my only knock against calling it trap. To me, trap is very boring.
Yeah.
Sporting clays and these other variations of it is much more, the target presentation is much more hunting like. And that's why I'm so into it compared to just trap where it's going to come out of the house and go straight,
Yeah.
left, right.
Yeah. Where did this come from, dude? Because like we were doing Ehuntr and all that stuff and talking, and you were, we were doing, in fact, you were kind of heavy into your muzzle loader there for a little bit. And then all of a sudden, boom, you're into shooting.
So
I'm never gonna say it right. Shooting clays, whatever,
yeah,
this
you could just
trap
clay
shooting.
sports. Yeah, clay sports, trap shooting, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, why did you get into
So
that?
so the biggest thing is my dad's done it for years and years. And it's sporting clays. And the biggest thing I noticed, and maybe it's because I'm getting more sentimental, but he's getting older and we don't get to hunt as much as we want because it's hard to get a tag no matter where you are.
Right.
So I was like, I need to come up with something that I can do at least once in a while with him. And I grew up bird hunting. I grew up duck hunting a lot, and duck hunting kind of sucks now. Lots of bird hunting in general in Utah sucks.
It
It's just
does.
bad.
It does.
And so so let's see, January of last year is my first full tournament that we shot. And I was still out there with my automatic, just my bird hunting gun, got my butt kicked. But it was more than anything just a way to connect with my dad and shoot and spend some time with him. And then once I started doing it, I found there was a lot of joy in initially, especially competing. And because I was getting into it early on, my wife would go. She wouldn't shoot, but she would go with me and be a part of it. And it actually was really fun. And at that time of my life, I actually needed that, I think.
Yeah.
And so then it kind of got its hooks in me, and then I decided to get a new gun, and then kind of, which is funny because everyone's like, "Oh, the guns are expensive." No, the doing everything else is expensive.
It's
The
like
gun is cheap.
that's golf right there. You can get the clubs for a certain amount of money, but it's going all the time. That's where the money really racks up.
between entry fees and shotgun shells.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
So,
Is it?
but yeah.
Okay, so you got a new gun, and I want to know what kind of gun it is. But are they? I mean, you said you're automatic. You got your butt kicked. Are the over unders really that much better?
I think so. The biggest benefit to an over and under, because there's guys that shoot a lot of the guys that shoot autos in this sport shoot almost exclusively Beretta. It is what it is. They
Not
make a
Benelli, huh?
competition sporting clay gun.
Benelli? They don't shoot Benellis?
Nobody.
Really?
I've never seen anybody with a Benelli. I've seen some guys with some old Remington 1100s.
Yeah.
But predominantly it's Beretta A400s that are
Interesting.
set up for sporting clays, higher rib, adjustable stuff. The main benefit I get with the over and under, at least for me, it has an adjustable comb, which matters where your head position matters a lot. The gun is longer and the barrel is longer, which for me, where I'm taller, I need that for the sight plane to stay on target better. And then my auto doesn't have a secondary bead, like a front bead and a middle bead. And the front bead and the middle bead ensures that my eye is lined up straight. Because your eye, if you're off, your lead is off,
Right.
and you can miss targets and you can't figure out what you're doing wrong. So, and then there's other benefits. Extended, they all come, most high-end over and unders, I call them high-end, but mine's fancy, but it's really an entry-level sporting clays gun. It's not some of these outrageous ones, which we can talk about in a minute. But being able to switch choke tubes quickly, see what they are, because most courses stuff's close, but you get to a state shoot or a regional and the guy's trying to prove something, and all the targets are 60 yards out on their edge, flying fast, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna have to put a modified or a full choke in just to even have a chance at hitting them. But yeah, overall, and the one point I didn't touch on with that over and under is there's a lot less moving pieces.
Yeah, that's true.
They can take a beating, and you don't see the spring wear. And granted, these guys that shoot Berettas, they've got all the spare parts.
Right.
So if they're in a state shoot, they just swap and away they go. And they can get pretty custom. I'm not saying need an over and under. But it was kind of me too growing up. An over and under was always considered like a prestige thing, right? Ooh, it's a
Yeah,
fancy
yeah,
gun.
they are fancy.
So it was cool to get, finally get something like that. And now the problem is it's almost too fancy. I shoot it in tournaments, but I don't know if I'd take it out in the woods and drop it.
Yeah, that's true. Running it through bush and dropping it in the water and stuff like that. You
Yeah,
probably don't want to. You don't want to do that.
yeah. So
What is like a high end over under shotgun? What I mean, how much are we talking like money wise?
do you want me to be ridiculous or do you want me to tell
Yeah,
you what?
yeah. Let's get
Okay.
ridiculous with it.
Krakoff.
Uh huh.
They're German, I believe. I think they're like high end stuff. We're talking you're gonna die. 60 to $80,000.
What?
Yeah, yeah. Now they have a lifetime warranty, but they're unbelievably expensive. And I would never, not even if I made the money that it was acceptable, I would never.
Like I get it. Like on a rifle, you spend like okay, we're gonna go with like a
10 grand or
Gunworks
something.
or something
Yeah.
like that. You're gonna get up there, but you're gonna get some really big advantages with that over at Ruger American. We already had
Yeah.
that discussion long ago. But you're gonna get some advantages of that over
Right.
that lower end. Is there a big difference between $1,000, well, maybe not $1,000, $2,000 over under versus a $60,000 over under?
I think I don't know because right, I ain't touching anything like that.
Yeah, that's.
But
I wouldn't even dare touch the trigger on that thing.
no. So the argument I have found from the guys that do shoot, and granted, most of the people I'm shooting with, even at a big tournament, they're maybe $10,000, $15,000 shotguns. They're not. You
Gosh,
don't see.
that's still ridiculous. That is so ridiculous.
It is, but it's not the Krakoff.
Man.
And Krakoff does do an entry level that's cheaper, which is funny because their entry level's like 15,000
Oh
bucks.
my gosh.
But the argument is lifetime warranty. They're all one piece. They hold up better. The firing pins are made of a metal that don't wear out because that's what you see a lot of the time is firing pins wear out.
Right.
It's kind of like I argue that I don't know. A Chevy Camaro is still a muscle car that goes fast, but it's not a Lamborghini.
Right. Right.
You can still go fast in a Camaro, but you don't have all the bells and whistles that a Lamborghini has. I think it's more of a status symbol thing, but
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of everything. That's every sport. There's that status symbol. I mean, going back to golf, you can spend a lot of money on golf clubs, but you can also go just spend a couple $100 and probably shoot the same score that you're going to shoot with those, really expensive clubs. So I think that's pretty much with every sport, whatever you want to call it. There's all those different like status things that fall in there.
yeah, I think barrel length and gun fit is way more important than what you spend. Like if you need to spend to get the gun fitting you right
Mm-hmm.
and to get the right barrel lengths for your height,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
no problem. But if you are doing it just because I mean, some guys just want one, and that's okay.
I mean,
But
if you got the money, do it. I
yeah,
don't, that's
yeah.
you. You do you on that.
See, and I'm talking all this crap, but my dad's gun is very expensive to me. I would never buy what my dad has. It's too much money.
Yeah. So what are you and your dad shooting? Give us the details on those so people know kind of what you guys are shooting.
Yeah. So I initially started with my automatic, which is just a Franke duck hunting gun.
Mm-hmm.
And then my cousin had a Franke over and under field grade, just a basic field grade. And he said, hey, this one will hold up better so you're not wearing out all the springs and stuff on your auto. And so for about 8 months, 7 months, I shot it. And the one thing I noticed I was having an issue with is it's a little short for me and it doesn't have that second bead. So I wasn't lining up right. And I found myself stabbing at the target a lot because if the gun's too short, you have like a tendency as you're following it to pull the gun away from your shoulder.
Oh.
And then you're all over the place. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I used that gun and I won in my division, I won a couple sub events
Nice.
in the state championship. So I got a couple belt buckles with that
Sweet.
gun. And there's certain targets with that gun. And it's so weird because gun to gun targets change. But with
Uh-huh.
that gun, there's a couple different targets. If they threw those, I'd run it. I'd never miss. I have a certain
Really?
way I shoot them, and I'd never miss. But there's other targets where I struggled with that is long crossing targets
Uh-huh.
because it wasn't long enough. I was having a
Mm,
hard time staying on
ahead of
line
it.
with
Yeah.
it. Um,
Interesting.
so about 7 months ago, 8 months ago, I switched to a Rizzini, which is an Italian shotgun. Oddly enough, they're affiliated with Fierce Firearms out of Redmond, though.
Oh.
They're their only dealer and supporter in the Western United States.
Hmm.
So it's really cool. It says something something Italy, Monticello, I don't know,
Uh-huh.
on the one side, and then on the other side of the shotgun it says Redmond, Utah, Fierce Firearms.
That's awesome.
So that's pretty cool. Have a shotgun that says Utah on it, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so I shoot a Rizzini, what they call their BR 110 Sporter.
BR 110 Sport. I gotta look this up while you're talking about
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So it is it's what I would call their entry level sporting clays gun. Uh, Adjustable comb, that stuff we talked about. Center pin or center bead on the rib. It has kind of an off color finish on the action, and then the barrels are black.
Yeah. It's
Um,
beautiful.
I got a really good deal. I know one of the guys that worked there, and he hooked me up. Um, Great entry level gun. I love it. I've shot it really well. I've seen an improvement on my targets quite a bit.
Are you
Um,
shooting 12 gauge? Is that what you're shooting or 20?
yeah, 12.
12?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so if you shoot 20 or 28 gauge, you have to shoot what they call their sub gauge class.
Oh,
And they're just usually, if you're like gonna try to win a tournament and take some prizes home or some money, there's usually not as much there. It's mostly centered around 12 gauge.
gotcha. Okay. Yeah, dude, I mean, I hopped on their website, so I'm just looking at MSRP, but yeah,
Yeah.
those are fairly expensive guns.
Yeah. So I bought mine, and the reason we got into these is we've been talking to these guys for quite a bit, and they were like, "Yeah, you should come see us. Come see us." So I finally told my dad, I was like, "Hey, I've got enough money. I'm gonna," and I sold a couple rifles to that I don't shoot
Hmm.
to purchase this because my dad's always said if you sell a gun, you have to use the money to buy a gun.
I'm with them on
Um,
that. I like that. I like that deal.
so I went up there, and he's like, "Well, I think I'm gonna buy one too," but he's a little more financially stable. So he bought their fancy version, which is the Rizzini, let's see, BR460 IPS model, which is like their top of the line gun.
BR 460.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. IPS, which is improved sporting system or
Oh yeah.
something like that.
Doesn't look too much different though. I'm just pulling it up and I'll try to, like, for those watching the video, I'll try to pull this up so you guys can see this on the video and
Yeah.
kind of go with it so you guys can see what these
Uh,
guns look like, but doesn't
the
look
diff
much different, but
the difference with his is he has an adjustable rib, so it can adjust to your eye and in your head height, like
oh,
the
gotcha.
the rib that runs the length of the barrel. And
Uh-huh.
then his action is slightly different,
Yeah.
and then his trigger, you could literally push a button on it and the trigger falls out of it, so you can swap the trigger if you ever wear out a trigger. It's really easy to just interchange it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Really
And
interesting.
his came with a nicer case.
It's
Um,
all
and
about the
it
case.
came with one more choke tube than mine, I think.
Interesting.
But yeah, for me, what I got is probably, I mean, I'll shoot it until it wears out. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna sell that gun.
What's
And
what's the life of these guns? Like, how long will they? I mean, you make it sound like you're going to go through triggers and springs and all that stuff really quickly. Like, what's the life of an over under gun?
well, I think I would have to defer to my dad for sure, but I know several of the Italians um, carry a warranty that's 10,000 rounds. So
Okay.
for the first 10,000 rounds, they cover it. Um, and then beyond that, I mean, like, I think it's one of the fancy ones. Guarini or Perazzi has a 1,000,000 round guarantee.
Wow.
Um, Talking to the guys at Rosini, the only issue they've really seen is uh, depending on the primer that you use, like depending on the shotgun shell, and I can't remember which shell has it, but there's a primer that's really hard.
Mm-hmm.
It wears out the firing pin and triggers prematurely because it's
Oh.
so hard.
Uh-huh.
I can't remember which company was using it. I think certain Fiocchi shells have that primer that's really hard.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I mean, really, truthfully, I know guys that are running shotguns like an old Remington 3200 that's
Mm-hmm.
built in the 70s, and
Right.
they're still shooting it. Now, granted, they were building stuff back then
Right.
too.
I was gonna say they're built different
Um,
back then than they're built nowadays. So
but the Italians do have a reputation for making pretty long-lasting firearms. So I would expect mine, being that it's a little, it's not as fancy, it's not quite as reinforced as these other ones. I would still expect basically, I mean, for me, half a lifetime. You know what I mean? Before
wow.
anything major happened. Just because I'm not shooting, I'm shooting, but I'm not every single weekend, all the time. As I get older, maybe. But
Like how many rounds a month do you think you're shooting versus like how many rounds do you think your dad's shooting? Like what's the comparison there?
so I shut it down pretty soon after June, maybe July. It gets
Uh-huh.
hot down here,
Yeah, that's true.
and I think I shot like one tournament after July last year. I last year, so registered targets, which means they were tracked by the NSCA. I shot 2,850 targets,
Wow. Wow.
which in the subclasses, sometimes you can shoot two shots at a target. Let's say I shot 3,500 shells.
Uh-huh.
And then you've got practice mixed in there. I don't know. I've probably shot last year, I don't know, maybe 4,000, 4,500 shells.
Okay. So you could burn through that warranty that they have for those guns in just a couple of years then, honestly.
Yeah, especially guys that get real aggressive with it, for sure. But I think it's kind of like anything. If the quality's not there, you don't see anybody using those guns, right? Like,
Right.
um, nothing against them. I think their higher end guns are actually probably really nice. But like, you don't see a lot of entry level CZs. They're a
Yeah.
Czechoslovakian gun. They're really nice, but you just don't see really any entry levels. You don't see entry level Benelli's because Benelli makes an over and under now.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's ugly. I'm sorry.
I gotta look at
When I was looking at buying an over and under, I actually mounted and messed with quite a few of them. And I did not like it at all. It
Oh,
felt
come
almost
on. It's not that
plastic.
bad looking.
The tang on it, look at it. It looks like to open it, it looks like just a piece of square stock steel.
Okay, I'll give you
It's not
that. That does look really
it's
kind of
so ugly.
it kind of looks cheap in a way, you know?
It honestly, it felt cheap. To like pick it up and mount it and what they wanted for the gun,
Oh,
it
dang.
felt cheap.
Yeah, they want a lot of money for that thing. It's at Cabela's right now for $3,300.
Yeah, and they felt cheap. Like I picked it up and I was like, this isn't the one.
Can you customize the barrel? Like when you order this, can you customize the barrel or does it just come as it is?
So typically the manufacturers offer a couple different sizes.
Okay.
So Rosini offers 28 inch. Well, technically, if you're a lady, they offer a 26 inch, a 28 inch, a 30 inch, and a 32-inch barrel.
32 inch,
That's
you might as well you can just reach out there and poke the clay with your barrel. Holy
well,
crap.
and see what's funny is some of the Italians they offer it in a 34.
Good
So if you're
night.
real tall and have a real long sight, because the longer the sight plane, it's kind of like it helps
You're
you hold your line. Yeah.
Geez, that's
So
crazy.
yeah, so my dad shoots a 32. Mine's a 30. I wanted a 32, but Rosini didn't have any of the BR-110s in stock, and they
Uh-huh.
wouldn't have them for like 6 months. And
Uh-huh.
I didn't want to. I didn't want to wait. I got real antsy. I was like, nope, 30-inch will work. And I've shot it great. I don't have any problems with it. But yeah, overall, you can get crazy. I mean, there's like I say, there's some guys shooting 34-inch barrels and a bunch of different setups and different things. Everybody's different. And that's the biggest thing is if you get into it, just don't buy one off the shelf.
Yeah.
Go touch a bunch of them, just like a bow.
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
just,
we tell that same
just
thing.
like archery.
And granted, it's hard. You can't shoot the gun, but at least get a feel for it, depending on where you go. But most
Yeah.
places, they're not going to let you shoot.
That's a good. I mean, that's a really good point to do that. And almost, I feel like if you were going to get into this, if you've never been into it before, it's almost like you need to go to like a range or to a tournament and just talk to every single person that you can talk to just kind of get some insights. And I mean, that's what we're trying to do with this podcast is help people understand like how to kind of get into this. But I think the more people you can talk to, the better in this situation.
And if you're really into it, find your local sporting clays, gun club, trap, whatever, and ask them when their biggest shoot of the year is, and just go and hang out. Because typically, what you end up with is you end up with some kind of shotgun supplier there showing off new stuff.
Yeah.
And most of them say, "Hey, you got a demo?" And they'll walk you out on the trap course and let you shoot 10, 12 shots. That's how I fell in love with the Razzini, actually, because we were shooting a tournament and their truck was there. And I said, "Hey, do you have a demo in this particular gun?" And they're like, "Yeah, we do. Do you want to shoot it?" And I was like, "Holy crap." Just going from that entry-level field grade to that gun, I was like, "Oh, yeah, I understand now."
Yeah, so. That's awesome. What ammunition are you guys using? What kind of shotgun shells?
So typically in sporting clays, I mean, you have to be legal in NSCA. You have to shoot 7.5 or higher. So
okay.
7.5 shot, 8 shot, 9 shot, which you don't see much
you don't see that very often.
It's if it's really close, guys will shoot 9 shot. Typically I mean, really, I'll be honest with you right now, it's so expensive to buy shot. I'm buying the cheapest stuff I can find. As long as it's not just complete junk.
And it can be like any kind of like it can be a Winchester, just a cheap sporting clays, you know, it's like a brick of it you can go buy, just something like that, huh?
Yeah. So honestly, for me, I mean, let's be honest, if money was no option, just because you never have a failure, it would be Winchester AA. They're still a great bullet.
Really?
They're expensive though. I mean, you buy a box of them, Winchester 7.5 silver, either super handicap or just regulars. They're a great shell, but man, they're expensive.
Oh, these are just the cheap. Yeah, I'm just using.
But I've shot those too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say this is pretty much my go-to for shooting clays. Yeah, 7.5.
Yep.
So
ounce and an eighth, probably.
Yep, ounce and an eighth.
1,200 feet per second.
Yep. 2 3/4. Yeah, it's just it's really worked well. I've never actually used these on a bird. If I'm going to shoot them.
Yeah, if I bird hunting, I usually buy a higher end just because I want them to die.
So that's your money round right there, huh?
Those are great. They're just expensive.
Yeah.
I also another really good shell is Remington STSs.
Oh yeah,
they're the gold. They're the gold shell. They are really. You just don't have any failures ever. For the ones I've been shooting a lot that I can afford, my favorite is actually Winchester makes one called a Super Target. It has a clay pigeon on it. I think they're 1185, so they're basically 1,200 feet per second.
Yeah,
but I love them. I feel almost more confident with those than even faster ones. But it depends on the guy. Like my cousin shoots a little bit, and if he's in a tournament where it's big time money, he buys Winchester Fast Dove is what they're called, and they're freaking almost 1,400 feet per second. They're hot.
Jeez.
Because he doesn't want to lead anything. He's like, if I just put it on him,
put it on and pull the trigger, it's good to go.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
That's his theory.
How much are these? Is there a difference in speed in these AA's versus just the cheap ones? Can't see the.
Is there a speed?
Oh, here it is. Oh, it's even slower. It's 1145.
1145s.
Yeah.
So I think the super. Does that say they're super handicap or does it just say AA?
It just says AA.
I think the super handicaps are they're 1250s. I think they're a little faster.
Hold up here so you guys can see them that are watching YouTube. This is
This
is the money round right here that he's talking about.
They're just the biggest thing I noticed is so like
There's the cheap one.
um I've shot some cheaper rounds. Um Federal was bad for a little bit. They've gotten better, but we used to have a lot of misfires with
Oh,
the Federal. The primer would get hit by the firing pin and nothing would happen.
really?
Um, hmm
Man, I don't know that I've had
And
that happen with a shotgun shell in a long time. I mean, I don't obviously don't shoot as much as you do. I might shoot
right,
a
right.
few hundred rounds a year, but I haven't had that happen in a while.
Yeah, the Federals were bad last year, but since then I've shot them and they're okay. And then I had a couple of orange, I think they call them Super Crush or something. They're orange Fiochis.
Uh huh. Yeah.
And I've had a couple of those not fire. But
Have,
predominantly, yeah, I shoot what I can afford.
have you shot
Whatever's on
these
sale.
Remingtons before?
Those are good.
Are
Those are
they?
a decent shell for sure.
I just bought a ton of these things. Well, a ton of
Okay.
them. I think I've got I don't know, like eight or 12 of these
Those,
25
yeah.
packs. So and I have not shot one yet, so I'm curious to see how they perform.
Yeah, I anything, and I know it sounds cheesy, but anything that usually says Winchester and Remington, you don't see those failures as
Yeah.
much.
Okay.
I just um but I talk a big game, but I had 4 or 5 cases of Rios.
Uh-huh.
They're a blue shotgun shell. I never had a problem. I
Really?
I've shot 4 or 5 cases, which is almost 1,000 shells.
It's funny that you
And
bring
I
that
never
one
had a
up
problem.
because I actually talked to somebody the other day that was shooting Rios, and I didn't make fun of him because I'm not that kind of a guy, but it was like
Don't lie to me.
I know. I was just like, I just, it's like, it's like when somebody comes in with like a weird golf ball or something. I love how we're relating this all to golf, but like some like noodle golf ball or something like that. And I
Yeah.
was like, a Rio ammunition. I've never even heard of that. So it's funny that you
Yeah.
bring that up because yeah, I heard it for the first time 2 weeks ago, probably.
Yeah, I got a Screaming Dill on them. They were like $78 a case, which
Oh
is
wow, that's cheap.
under $8 a box. And
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, we'll try them. And I literally never had a single failure.
Dude, you remember when we were kids and you could go buy like a
Oh,
box like this for like $2?
not only that, but remember when we were kids, it was so cheap to reload that
Yeah.
even you could buy that box for like $3 or $4, but it was still so much cheaper to reload. We were reloading them for like $1.
Yeah, for nothing. Oh, how times have changed. Thanks, Biden. Thank
Yeah,
you for that.
yeah.
Just
Oh,
kidding.
the money and the lead shot and
Oh gosh, it's ridiculous, but it's crazy what we
yeah,
spend for them now. But
yeah,
that's
yeah.
awesome.
It's pretty sad.
Well, let's dive. I want to dive into because I think this is going to be pretty foreign to a lot of people as we're talking about what. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's people out there that they're trap shooters and are sporting clays. Excuse me, sporting
Either
clay
or.
shooters that may know this pretty well. In fact, I had a good friend that his son got into tournaments and shooting. So that's the only thing. That's the only way I've learned what I've learned from this. But like when people are looking at like tournaments and stuff, or talking about that. Talk us through what a tournament looks like. If someone signs up for a tournament, like
Yeah.
what are you doing?
So the biggest thing I could say is if you are interested in signing up, get on Google, search local gun clubs, and see what's going on.
You got the
Um,
you got is that the wife over there? She looking at you?
yes, I don't know what she's brought me a cookie, or
Oh,
maybe herself a cookie. It's yours? Oh, it's mine.
did she bring
Oh,
you a glass of milk too?
here, you can see it's
Oh, it's from Pop,
yeah,
dude.
yeah,
I love Pop. Oh
pink
man,
sugar cookie.
those those are so good. You get that sugar cookie, and then you get a golden
Yep.
night. Have you ever had a golden night from there?
I have not. No.
Oh my gosh, it is delicious. So
Yeah. So she distracted me.
yeah, well, a
Um.
cookie's a good reason to distract them over here drinking a freaking Coke. So
Okay. Yeah. So basically, if you're interested, first and foremost, I would find your local gun club and just ask them what they have to offer, because sporting clays, it's it takes space. A lot of places can have a gun club with a trap range because it just doesn't take much space.
mm,
So if you're truly interested in sporting clays, you search it up, find one. You've probably got one. Most people have probably got one within maybe an hour of where they live. Um, Maybe closer, just depends on the situation. Um, but the biggest thing I would think, so starting out, the difference in, just to be upfront before we get right into the tournaments, Difference between trap and sporting is trap's done on a 5-station stand. You walk out, there's a trap house in front of you. There's 5 people in spots. You say pull, one guy goes.
That's
Next
like the
guy goes.
Olympics, right?
That's trap.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And then sporting, you walk a course that has anywhere, depending on what the guy is shooting, anywhere between 12 and 16 stations that have different targets presented to you. So you may have incomers going away over your head, different things like that. So the best way I've found to find tournaments is there's a website called
Uh-huh.
scorechaser.com.
Uh-huh.
You can search your state and or if you know the name of the gun club, and as long as your gun club's on top of it and puts the tournaments on there, you will see upcoming tournaments so that you can sign up. It's pretty the user interface is actually pretty well done. You can pull it up and dig into what the tournament you want to go. So basically what usually happens in a tournament is there's what they call the main event. Now, the main event, depending on the size of the tournament, is usually either 100 or 200 targets on a course or separate courses. Usually, if it's a 200 target tournament or main event, there's 2 separate courses. And then there's usually a sub event of some kind associated with the tournament.
Okay.
So, a typical main event, so if it's a 200 target tournament, it's usually 2 days. They usually split it up. So first day, Saturday, you go shoot your one tournament. You can go shoot your sub event, and then the following day you come back and shoot the other one. So how it starts out, you typically, most guys are older, so they drive either customized golf carts or side by sides or something that have gun racks and stuff like that.
Sweet.
They drive to their station. You get to look at however they throw it. We can get into that too, but you get to look at the targets if it's an official tournament 2 times. So I get up there before I'm ready to shoot and I say pull, and I look at them and say, okay, let's see it one more time. Pull, and we see and then you have to determine if it's thrown as a true pair, which means both birds are in the air at the same time. Which one do I shoot first? Because they'll do that to you.
Uh-huh.
They're like, oh, I have to shoot B first because B is going to hit the ground way before A.
Uh-huh.
Or they throw something called a report pair, which a report pair is they throw a single target, you shoot at it, and once the report of the gun goes off, the puller throws the second target.
Okay.
So, you may have an A target incoming, you shoot, and as soon as your gun goes off, a target in front of you takes off and goes away.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then there's some different variations on some sub events we'll get into. But on the main event, typically what happens, like the events that I shoot, it's a 12. My main home shooting range is a 12-station course.
Wow.
So first station and last station is 5 pair of some kind. You're shooting a total of 10 targets there. And then every station in between is 8 targets. So you're shooting 4 pair.
Gotcha.
So you really don't want to screw up on station 1 and 12. Because if you run those 2, you get 20 birds.
Yeah, that's a big score right there.
Yeah, so it's great to run everything, obviously. But 1 and 12, you want to shoot as best you can.
Interesting. Okay. Well, that makes a little bit more sense. And I've seen, like I said, I've never done this before. I've watched sporting clays, like people going and doing them, and just videos on YouTube, kind of a thing. Did a little research before we did this podcast too, just so I kind of knew what you'd be talking about. Yeah. So now that you say that makes sense. Hey, and actually, real quick, I just for those listening, you said that people can Google and they're gonna find a club, pretty close to them. I don't mean to get us off track here, but I did that, and there's a club 42 minutes from my house. So, nice. Just, it's in Richfield, by the way. So
Richfield, it's Wild Goose.
Wild Goose Clays, yep.
Yeah.
So that's cool that you can do
that. What do they call it? The Scholastic team, which is all the young shooters.
Uh-huh.
There's a bunch of them from Richfield. So when the young guys come down, they're shooting at Wild Goose usually, but they'll come down here and shoot in tournaments.
Interesting. Who's the best in the state? Where do you see the best people coming from?
I'm trying to think of. There's three guys that are really good. One of them actually just moved to Texas because he wants to win a national, and that's where nationals happens.
Mm. He moved to
So that
Texas just for that?
yeah,
Is this
yeah.
what he
So
does for a living? Is this like his sole thing that he does is just shoot sporting clays?
he has a day job. He's a high-end computer programmer, so he can work from home.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
But yes, his goal is to be very, very good in sporting clays, which he is.
Well, yeah,
he
yeah.
he just I think he either won or took second overall in the shoot I just shot last week.
Interesting. What do you get if you win national? Like, what kind of purse are
Lots
we?
of money.
Yeah, I mean, like, is it tens of
Um,
thousands, hundreds of thousands? Is it? I mean, like,
no, I don't think it's hundreds of thousands. I could actually try to pull it up on Score Chaser. Score Chaser will actually tell you who won.
and will it tell you
Last
like
year
how much
in the
does it show the purse on like who
Yeah,
like if
it
they?
shows money.
Let's see here. Let's pull this up, and I'll put this just for those listening. I'll put a link to this in the description so that you guys, if you want to check this out, you can go and find it. Pretty easy to find too. Wow, man, there's tournaments all over the place. Holy moly!
Yeah, there really is.
Hey, now this person won $150, highest overall, $150.
On what?
I don't even know.
Oh, I don't know.
Winter Wednesday shoot. I don't know.
Yeah, there's just a bunch of random shoots, but if you go to nationals, like let's see, there's a state. Okay, national sporting in San Antonio, I believe it is. It's this fall.
Uh huh.
We need to go to last year's though, so we can see what their purse is.
Because I mean that might incentivize quite a few people to look at it doing this. You know, like
And I mean, it definitely is. It takes some dedication. You know what I mean? You're gonna be. There's a lot of good shooters in the world.
well, the thing is
Um,
we talk so much about archery, and archery may not be up, everybody's alley. That's kind of what I love about this podcast is we can talk about anything from rifle shooting, pistol shooting, archery, sporting clays, it all.
Right.
So,
Right, right.
maybe somebody doesn't
Yeah,
want to go compete in an archery tournament, but they want to do maybe try this and win some money.
Yeah, they had 2,600 people
Shoot,
sign up for the nationals.
jeez,
Yeah.
my goodness gracious.
I'm trying to see who got the biggest payout in nationals because that's obviously your biggest one of the year.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm just looking up a few different different events on this Score Chaser. It actually looks like they have an app. Did you download the app and keep track of everything on there?
I actually haven't downloaded. I'm just a scrub that goes to their what do you call it? Goes to their website.
Yeah, you need to download this app. This keeps track of your shoots and what you do. It looks like this is pretty fantastic.
Yeah, so last year Brandon Powell won high overall in the nationals, and he got a payout of $20,000.
That's pretty sweet, dude. One tournament to win that much money.
Yeah, and that's just the main event. I don't know if he won more if he happened to win some of the sub events. He probably got more money if he did. It's a tough thing, you may win the main event and then be way down the line on something else.
Interesting.
But yeah, I mean that's a big chunk of change just to shoot your shotgun.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's I mean, like comparing it to archery, like like we go and do these archery competitions. We talked about Mountain Archery Fest going away, which is super sad. And like my buddy Tyler, he's won that and won some money doing that. But that's not really the reason you do it. The reason you do it is because you get paid to just shoot your bow or shoot your shotgun. Like that's what makes it fun, honestly.
Yeah, and there's definitely a benefit, and I know you've spoken this on archery. There's a benefit on the hunting aspect of shooting your bow in those situations. I would argue the same thing. Shooting a shotgun in these events and then going duck hunting. I know I'm trying to be cocky, but I feel bad for the ducks because they're coming in and I'm just like, you're dead.
But that's how it should be, honestly. Like we should be practicing our craft. If we're going to be hunters taking a life, we really need to be, responsible with that. And so, yeah, shooting your bow so that you know that you can make that 60-yard shot or maybe a little bit further, because you're shooting 120 at tack, So
Yep.
same
Yep.
thing with these sporting clays. Yeah, you shot, 4,000 rounds last year. When it comes time for that duck to come in, yeah, he's
He's in
dead.
trouble.
You guys do much? Yeah, did you guys do much bird hunting this year?
We went a couple times. Last year was not like this most recent, but 2020, let's see, fall of 2023, because of the water, it was
Uh-huh.
amazing. It was so
Man,
good.
man.
But this year we lost a little water, and it was okay, but it wasn't like 2023.
Dude, my wife has been begging me to take her duck hunting. You guys we need to hook up with y'all and take
Yeah,
us out duck hunting because I
yeah,
think I don't know that she's really gonna like it as much as she thinks she's gonna like it. Because
yeah.
every time I've been duck hunting, I freeze my butt off, and sometimes I've had a dog, sometimes I didn't have a dog, so I'd have to get myself up and go get the ducks after I shot them, which that really sucks. Um, but yeah, one of these days we're gonna have to hook up and go shoot some ducks together.
We'll have to wait till it freezes, and then
Hmm.
we'll jump shoot them, because then you don't get cold. You just get in the truck and you drive to the next spot and you walk a little ways and then you get back in the truck and
That's true. That she could get on board with that. Sitting next,
that's a good one. That you're not sitting in the blind freezing to death for
yeah.
hours on end.
I think what she wants is she wants a duck on the wall. She wants to get just a
Mounted.
really pretty. I don't even know what she wants, green head or whatever that she can mount on the wall just because it looks pretty. There's
Yeah,
so many
yeah,
prettier ducks out there, but
yeah, yeah. Oh, and like the thing is, if a greenhead wasn't so common,
oh, it's one of the
people
most
would mount
beautiful.
them all the time.
Oh yeah, it's one of the most beautiful birds out there,
Yeah,
but they're just kind of everywhere.
everybody sees them.
Yeah.
So,
The thing about it though, I've noticed like if you're in the duck hunting game, like there's a bunch of other birds that you look at, they're like, "Oh, these are so much prettier." And just a normal person on the street would be like, "That's an ugly bird." Like, the greenheads are beautiful. Like that's really what we're talking about. Like it's funny like the different kind of perspectives that duck hunters have on them than other people.
oh, and it's even duck hunter to duck hunter, because like there's guys that'll tell you like a pintail
Uh-huh.
is the most beautiful duck ever. It's real regal looking, but it's
Yeah.
not flashy.
Right.
It's not a wood duck.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just a sleek kind of that changing brown and white. It looks good. I've got one on the wall.
Do you
It's
really?
just yeah.
Oh
Yeah, I've got
man.
a pintail in the other room.
Huh.
Um but my favorite by and large, and granted he was banded, so I love him, but uh it's I have a Drake widgeon.
Oh yeah,
That's
you sent me pictures
mounted.
of that one. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
beautiful.
and and I've always loved him. Every time I see him, I'm like, come over here. But
That's awesome.
yeah, we'll get back to the tournament.
Yeah, let's get back to what this podcast is about.
Yeah. Get off track.
We do that from time to
So
time.
so the main event is learning. I think the biggest thing with the main event, and I'm still learning on main events because it can get tricky. It's being able to do the exact same thing repetitively,
Yeah.
because you're getting 5 pair or 4 pair, and you have to break them early and keep it going. It's a very focus-driven event.
Mm-hmm.
I've struggled a little bit with that. This most recent shoot, um, I actually was really competitive. I still didn't win anything. I was in 10th place out of 40 guys, but I was in 10th place.
That's pretty good.
And it was probably the most competitive I've been in a main event ever.
Mm-hmm.
But my bread and butter is a sub event that they call Super Sport.
Uh-huh.
My computer just kicked on, tells me I need to plug it in.
Oh, you better plug it in.
I'm gonna have to go find the plug.
It's a good thing we can edit. Anyways,
Yeah.
back to your bread and butter.
Yeah. So my bread and butter, where I've won. So when you start out, it's changed a little bit, but when you start out and you sign up to be, so you can shoot a tournament without signing up. You can
Mhm.
just be in what they call hunter class. But
Uh-huh.
if you actually want to be classified and start competing, you sign up to the NSCA, which is the National Sporting Clays Association.
Uh-huh.
They put you in. Initially, they used to put you in D class. Well, they've changed it now, and they put you in C when you sign up, because they just don't know if you're going to be good or bad, and then they
Right.
read what you were. But it used to be they put you in D class. So when you get into D class, you have to win X amount of events, and this happens in every class before you move up. The only reason I'm in C is because of this subclass we're going to talk about, or this sub tournament. So it's called Super Sport. It's typically 50 targets when you shoot it. It's a sub event so it's smaller than the main event. And what you do is there's usually, depending on how the guy shoots it, there's usually 7 stations. You shoot 7 targets at all of them, but the last one you shoot 8 targets to make your 50. So how it's thrown is you get up there and there's an A, B, and C target.
Okay.
And you can see the birds, but you can only see them as a single. So you see a single A, a single B, and a single C. And then somewhere in that breakdown of targets you're shooting, there'll be pairs. So your brain has to figure out how's the pair going to work. And so when you start shooting that, they throw you a single A target, and you can actually shoot at it both times if you miss. You can shoot both barrels. So single A, single B, single C, and then there's some variation of 2 pair thrown in there. For whatever reason, that works in my brain. I shoot it pretty competitively. Like I say, it's the reason I have all the punches that I have. Which is why I'm in C class now.
Gotcha.
It, like I say, I think my best score I've ever shot on that was a 46 out of 50.
Wow. Dang.
It just clicks in my brain. I don't know if it takes over partially instinctual. I don't know why, but it just works for me. And maybe it's because I'm not great at focusing on the same thing over and over again. And so maybe the variance of shooting 2 pair and then you're done and they're different every time. Maybe it's that my brain's just taking over and doing what it's supposed to be doing, and I'm not thinking about how to do it over and over again.
That's interesting.
But yeah, I really like that. And then there's a sub event called 5 stand, which is like Super Sport, but they put it all on a trap course.
Oh,
so
okay.
There's 5 shooters, but they have like 8 trap houses that they can throw a target from everywhere.
That'd be wild.
I like it a lot. It's actually really fun.
Oh, that's cool. They have a little diagram here that I'm looking at that shows like kind of how it's set up.
Yeah,
dude, that would be wild.
I like it a lot. It's super fun.
Oh man. Oh, but so there's just clays flying everywhere with that one.
Yeah. So they'll typically, like when you get up there, the trickiest part of that is remembering what they're going to throw. Because they'll say, okay, 2-8. So you're shooting a true pair 2-8, but you're like, okay, where was 2? Oh yeah, where was 8? And then you have to try to, because it's different every time. It's the same kind of thing. Is you don't get 2-8 10 times.
Right.
You get 2-8 one time,
and
then it's some other variation, and you typically shoot 50 targets at that one.
So when they have it set up, do they have like, if you got that many launchers out there, are they all like heavily going away from you, or are there some that are almost coming at you with those?
Oh, there's wild ones. So they have a target. So my 2 favorite targets, and it's because I don't miss. I don't know why. My brain understands them. I don't miss them. If I miss one, I am like beyond pissed off. Like I don't miss. So there's 2 target presentations. A rabbit, which people are familiar with. It's a clay that rolls along the ground.
Yep.
I don't miss rabbits.
Okay.
Other guys miss rabbits. I don't miss rabbits.
Nice.
And then what they call a Shondell. So a Shondell is almost always they can change it, but most of the time it's either moving left to right or right to left, but it comes out of the trap house and it arcs. So it's kind of it plays with your eyes.
So it's kind of spinning around.
Yeah, so a lot of people think it comes up. I'm trying to get my hand in the camera, but it comes up, and a lot of people think it's doing this, like curving more than this.
Oh,
and depending on when you shoot it, it becomes a different target. If you're waiting because of whatever and you're shooting it doing this, then yes, you got to be way out here down and away. But where I try to shoot them, and I shoot them really fast. It's just
shoot them on the up
in my brain. I shoot them either on the way up or I shoot them as they level off, and typically they're fast. So you got to be, out in front of them. I don't miss them. Like I've watched
Interesting.
my cousin, who's a good shooter, miss them. My dad misses them. I don't miss them.
That's your thing right there. That
Yeah.
See, when I shoot clays, I'm always trying to get them on the up. That one would
Mhm.
actually kind of be interesting, where it kind of, like you said, it kind of flattens out there, like to
Yeah.
have that flatten out. I think that's probably for me would be the
Yeah.
ideal place to honestly shoot it, because I could lead it easier that way.
Yeah. Yeah. It turns, instead of becoming a difficult lead or what they call a complex lead,
Yeah,
it is a simple lead. Here's the target, pull out, bang. You
yeah,
don't need to,
exactly.
up, down, nothing. Just touch the bottom of the target, pull out, boom.
Yeah.
But uh those are my two favorite, but there's lots of different targets.
That's
So
what
they'll have that in there.
While you were talking, I was just kind of looking at, like, well, I was searching up the 5 stand and the super sport and stuff like that, just because I had no idea what it was. But one of the things that I looked at, it said that there during the major tournament, there's what does it say? There's all sorts of side games. That's what they call it, side games and activities that you can participate in, and it lists like a whole. I mean, there's a dozen on there of different things that you
They
can
have
do.
a bunch of different ones that they can do.
That's crazy, but that's kind of cool. That makes it fun. It keeps a variant to it, so you don't get just sick of doing the same old thing.
Yeah, yeah, and like one that my cousin hates, and he's probably going to be pissed that I'm bagging on him so much. But they call one a springing teal, which it goes straight up
Oh,
in the air, and then it gets to the peak and then falls. But typically, what they have you do is they put it in another pair. And because it takes so long, you have to shoot the other one. But what happens sometimes, if you're a little
it's
late,
coming up.
it's falling.
Yeah.
And boy, if you think how bad a lead is when it hits terminal velocity, because it's way up there.
Right. Yeah. Oh man. See, that's why I don't ever like shooting them on the down, because I feel like once they're on their down, well, the normal shooting that I do, it's getting further away, so it's harder to hit anyways. But once they start going down, man, they really start to move. And so if I can get them like as they're on their incline, I don't have as much up and down to go. As far as the lead goes, I can get pretty close to it, pull the trigger, and it's going to hit it.
Yeah, and like a springing tail, if you catch it at the pause, like if you everything times up and it stops,
Yeah.
like here's the target, bang, and you'll kill it.
Yeah.
But what happens is it starts to come down. You're extending
way
that lead
below.
way out, trying to catch it as it falls.
Interesting. What's been the hardest thing for you? So you said those are your bread and butter. What's been the hardest thing for you to get onto?
So it was, I mean, predominantly there's a couple targets at my home course of Purgatory that he doesn't change, and it pisses me off. So you kick my butt. The main one. So when I first started, I was having issues, and I told you about this a little bit with the other shotgun. I was having issues with long crossers.
Yeah.
So if it's real far and it's big and it takes a long time to get across, I was losing the line. As I've upgraded gun and I've shot more, I know what I need to do on that target. I have a technique that works. As long as I do what I'm supposed to do and don't get lost in the sauce,
Yeah.
I will break that target. So how I shoot those now is here's my target. It's coming across. I let it here's my gun. I let it beat me just a little bit. And then I bring my gun and I touch the front edge, and then I start to swing with it, and then I pull away, bang, and I'll break it.
Interesting.
But if I try, there's a ton of different techniques. Some guys, here comes the target, here's my gun. I just keep that lead. I'll miss it every time. I have to make connection on those ones and pull away, or I miss. For me, I can't do it. But I've learned that target. That one used to kill me. But the ones that have been killing me, that I've changed how I shoot it, and I've actually started hitting it more, is there's a couple targets that he has way up on a hill. I started taking my rangefinder. It's probably stupid, but I like to know. So it's 88 yards up on the hill.
And
he's throwing it towards you, but it's got just a weak enough launch that it's not, gravity's helping it, but it's not getting to you. So what it's doing is it's coming at you, it comes off the hill, gains some altitude, and then as it starts to die, it curls off to the right. And for whatever reason, everybody I shoot with, and they didn't have nearly the problem I did. I mean, they weren't hitting them every time, but they weren't struggling so bad. They would wait until it curled, because it kind of becomes a crosser, and they could hit it. I couldn't hit it. I still, if I try to shoot it that way, I cannot hit it. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm lost. So what I've started doing is, as it's coming in, just before it starts to curl, I'm shooting it like it's a coming in shot,
Yeah. Yep.
like on a duck,
Like on a duck coming in.
but
Yep.
it's far. I mean, I'll be honest, when I'm shooting it, most of the guys that watch me shoot it now, like before they realize I'm breaking it, they're like, oh, and then they see it break and they're like, oh, it's probably 45, 50 yards out there. And
Jeez.
I put a modified choke in on
Mm-hmm.
that course just because I know it now. But it took me, I sat there one day trying to shoot it on the curl and I shot almost a box of bullets and I couldn't hit it.
That's
There's
crazy.
something in my brain, I can't figure it out. So I'm like, I just got to shoot it differently. And that's when I started shooting it way up on the hill.
Oh man. This is
But
fun, man.
that one,
This sounds
that one,
exciting.
that one beats me up, and it makes me so angry. But I've started to figure it out. Um, I had a hard time, and I've gotten better. Really, really low targets that are
Mm-hmm.
just off the ground. I think if it was all one color, like if I was shooting on a pink dirt field
Mm-hmm.
or over the top of water,
Yeah,
I'd be fine. But in the brush, I have a hard time
that's
focusing on that
true.
target. Um, I've gotten better. I really have. Like when I first started, I couldn't touch a low target. Like if they
Uh-huh.
threw a low target, I was like, oh, I'm just going to take the loss on this one.
That's true
Um,
because like I mean like out east is probably like all green, you know, because it's all
yeah,
grass
nice,
behind there, so a
nice
nice little
green grass, no
green.
problem. But
Yeah,
yeah,
but like
when you're
out here,
shooting purgatory and there's
yeah,
brush and rocks, and you're like, where the crap
and all the
is it?
rocks are different colored, and then you have the sand that goes in there, and then the different brush that's out there. Yeah, they'll be like, yeah,
Yeah,
it makes it. I'd lose it. I want to be able to see it.
yeah, and I think it's my hunting background. I tend to, and I know my cousin struggled with this. I tend to overlead a lot of stuff. Um, Even when, and not always. There's some fast targets that just beat you because they're fast.
Right.
But I get in the tendency of thinking, oh, she's moving, but not that quick. But I still give it a little too much.
Yeah.
I've had to really learn if it doesn't look fast, don't shoot it like it's going fast.
Right.
Because when we duck and bird hunt, I mean, you quail hunt, anything, they're always going fast, right? They're trying to get away.
Mm-hmm.
So your brain is kind of hardwired as a hunter to shoot out in front of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's
Interesting.
okay. Usually when it's really fast, I have a different technique now. I struggled it with my other gun, but my current gun, I let it beat me because most hunting situations you're beat. The
Yeah.
bird is
I was gonna
gone,
say it's
and you gotta
always ahead of you. You're
yeah,
catching.
and
You're trying to play
you
catch
gotta
up.
catch him, and that's what I do. I put my gun roughly where I know the birds, and then as soon as I see it flash across my barrels, I just swing through it and shoot like
Mm-hmm.
it would be a duck.
Yeah.
And I've been okay that way. The biggest problem I have is because it's such a mental game is the process of what target, what system works for me for each target,
Mm-hmm.
because that's the tricky part. And I'm still, I would say I'm borderline novice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's master guys going, no, you shoot the same thing this way every time.
I hope there are, and if there are, I want to hear some comments on this.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure there is because everybody's style's different. And I'm sure that makes them better main event shooters, and that's probably why I struggle with main event a little
Mhm.
bit. Is trying to figure out how do I shoot this one versus this one.
Right, and
Um,
adapting to that as on the fly too, because they're all coming at you different. So yeah, how to adapt to that on the fly.
right, and so overall, my favorite for sure is Super Sport. But my first place belt buckle is in Fee Task, which is a whole nother variation.
Jeez.
So Fee Task is not thrown very often. One thing that people really like about five stand and Fee Task is there's always a scorer. So you or your buddies don't call your hits. An actual sanctioned person calls the hits.
Gotcha.
Because some of these main events are so big, it's based on honor and
Yeah,
merit.
yeah.
But Fee Task is very European. It's hunting based. You can see the similarities to hunting, but it's very European in its presentation. So they call the stations pegs, which is a British thing. But the way I describe it is you get there, they discuss the rules. There's 5 state houses in the so you'll have A, B, C, D, E targets.
Okay.
So you get up there and your first peg, it's a single of everything. So it's one at a time. You all line up and you walk in what I would call it almost look like they cut the top off of a 55-gallon drum and have to stand inside of it.
Yep.
And then they draw a white line at your armpit. your gun cannot be above that when you call pull. You have to be
Oh,
down
gotcha.
like you're hunting,
Yeah.
not up and mounted. So it has to be down. And then the other aspect of FTASC is you cannot see any of the, whatever you want to call them, trap house. You can't see the puller. You can't see the machine.
Yeah.
It's hidden in some way. So then you pull, you have to mount, catch the bird, and go shoot it.
Like hunting. That's hunting.
Yeah. And it was really funny because it's in two what they call stages. You shoot the bottom stage, and then we went up on a hill and we shot the top stage.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd never done it before. It's all new to me. And I shoot the first station and I am sucking. Like I am sucking real bad. And I tell my dad, and they're all targets I didn't like. They're all difficult targets, going away low on the ground, big looping far shot when I was struggling with that the first section. And so I only hit an 8 out of 25. I was sucking real bad. So I text my dad and I'm like, I'm done. I'm out. I can't win. I literally, there was no way in my mind I thought I could win. And he's like, well, just go have fun then. This next one, just shoot it. And I was like, all right. Well, I got up there and they messed up because there was 2 Shondells. And we already discussed that I don't miss Shondells.
Yeah.
So I don't miss Shondells. And then there was this one that was so, I'd seen this target so many times. If you've ever quail hunted or chucker hunted and you're in a canyon and it's narrow, like, you're 50, 60 yards across, but right in the bottom's a little deep cut.
Yep.
A bird flying up that cut.
Gotcha.
And I was like, I've shot at quail and chuckers like this
your whole life.
Times.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there was that one. So that's 3. And then there was one that it's kind of a cool target. It was their E target was wrapped around the hill and it would curl around the ridge line and come over the top.
Oh, that's cool.
I really liked that target too. And then the 4th target was just a traditional crosser about mid-level. So anyways, I'm not expecting to shoot good. I'm like, let's just go have fun.
Yeah.
I get in the peg and I shoot the singles and I hit them all. And the one Shondell is out there. I mean, it is 50 yards maybe. And I just crush it. And then I was like, all right, well, I did okay. And then they start throwing your pairs. Well, I get like halfway through that and I'm like, I haven't missed a target. And I'm like, okay, let's just keep shooting. And I get to my last peg and the middle pair in there was the E one that kind of wrapped around and you shot it. And then as soon as you shot it, they threw the other one up the wash. And your brain is such a fickle thing. I shoot that one, the E one, right in the middle of it. And I turn and go up the wash. And I'm going up the wash with the bird. And I know where I'm at right now. I will not hit that target. And I still pulled the trigger. I knew I'm not right. Bang, missed. I was like, ugh. I'm like, it's all right. Just keep shooting. Don't let it fall apart. So I shot and I didn't miss another one. So I missed one target on the top.
Holy cow.
And I told my dad this. I said, I have yet to be in whatever state I was in since then. I've never got it back. Like everything made sense.
That's where you need to live, man. That is where you need to live at. If you can get to that point and live there.
Get in there, I would win so much.
Yeah.
But I don't even know how I got in it. I don't know how to get it back. But I knew it was like, you hear people talking about how time slows down or guys playing basketball, things are slower. And it was like that. Like I knew there was a telephone pole out there, way out there. And I was like, I know when that Shondell passes that telephone pole, I have to be right here with the gun moving. And I had something like that with every target.
Nice.
And I've never got it back. But anyways, long story short, I go back and I'm like, it doesn't matter. I shot great on top. I sucked on bottom. I'm probably going to be like between 3rd and 10th, just because you can't win with an 8 on your scorecard out of 25. So I get to the end of the day and it's a 3-day event. And I'm like, we got 2 more days of shooting, but I'm winning right now.
Jeez.
And my dad's like, by how many? I'm like, well, right now by like 3 targets. And he's like, that's cool, but he's like, I'm just being honest. Someone's going to shoot better than you.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah.
And I was like,
someone's going to get hot.
Like it's Sunday and the last guy that was scheduled to shoot, because FTASC you have to schedule out because of the referee and stuff.
Yeah.
The last guy in my class shoots and he shot a 13 on the bottom. So he had me by how many ever? What, 5 targets?
Mm-hmm.
13. But then he shot an 18 on top, or no, 17 on top, and I had shot a 24. So I beat him by 1 target.
Wow.
So
Wow, that's
I ended up,
crazy.
I ended up getting a belt buckle, which I've got. Hang
Let's see.
on,
Let's
I'll
see
just
that
show
thing
you.
if you got it right there.
I actually won 2 on that state shoot. I won a second place on 5 stand
Oh,
in
nice.
my class too, but
Nice.
it's kind of glary.
Oh,
I
that's
don't know if you.
sweet, dude. I love that with the broken clay on it.
Yeah. So it says Purgatory Utah State Sporting 2024 Fee Task D class first place.
That's
So,
sweet, dude.
and then the 5-stand's the same thing, but it says 5-stand second
Stand.
place. Yeah, and
Nice.
I lost that one by 1 target.
Oh gosh.
But
Wow, dude, that's amazing though to be able to do that well. Like that's super impressive.
I think it helps being a bird hunter. I
Yeah.
really do. I think people that start young and can be trained probably take off in main events better.
Yeah.
But in things like 5-stand and super sport and fee task where it's much more reactionary and
Mm-hmm.
hunting based, I think being a bird hunter really helps because you've seen that target before. It's not foreign to you.
See, and I think just going back to the archery comparison, like I feel like that's where sporting clays is different than archery. Like if you're an archer, like a target archer, I feel like inevitably you're going to be a better shooter than a hunter is, you know. But I think it does correlate that if you shoot those, you do become a better hunter. And I'm sure shooting all these clays helps you be a better hunter as well.
Right. And I think main event wise, being a target shooter probably makes you a better main event shooter.
Yeah. Yeah.
As a target shooter because you're repeating the same thing all the time.
Right.
Where we don't see that in hunting.
Right.
You see variation, but it's not constant.
Exactly.
Right? Every duck is going to come in the exact same way every time.
Right.
Or every chucker is going to fly the same way every time.
But that's what makes it fun. You know, that's what's I like about hunting more than that's why I can never just do tournaments. I can never just do in archery or clays. You know, I can't just do tournaments because it's so fun shooting, you know, birds or animals because there's that unpredictability of it that you're just like you never know what's going to happen.
And the truth of the matter is, especially pheasants, you know, the bigger birds, pheasants, ducks, geese, there's a whole different ball game of where you're hitting them too.
Yeah.
Like I can hit a tiny little piece off of a clay pigeon and count it.
Yeah.
If I hit a tiny little piece of a duck or a goose, he flies off.
Exactly.
So you still have to hit them good. And that's why typically when guys shoot sporting clays or a tournament, they typically don't shoot super tight chokes. Bigger pattern gives you a better chance to hit, and you're not killing that bird. You're breaking a piece.
Yeah, one little chip is counted, whereas in a bird, it's not. That doesn't count. One BB is not going to bring it down.
Blow feathers off of them, and they're still going.
I've done it so many times.
Yeah, and so how many times? I mean, especially back in the day, pheasant hunting.
Oh man,
how many roosters you hit in the back end, and their feet are dangling, and they're just
there. They go. Yep. That's man. Well, I did it with ducks too. I'd blow feathers off of ducks. I'm like, oh yeah, he's done for, and fly off, and
if
never
they
see him
do die,
again.
they're 12 miles out in the middle of the lake. And
exactly. And no dog's gonna go get it.
Too far on that one, and you're like, no.
So what do you have coming up for tournaments in the near future?
So we just got done shooting the silver buckle, which is a pretty big one down here. Like I say, I don't know. It's hard to say because initially I was pretty disappointed in myself because I was just out of placing or getting paid in a lot of them. But my dad's like, you shot with like 40 guys in your division.
Yeah.
Being top 10 is pretty good, but I've told my dad I'm just not patient enough. I'm like, no, I gotta win, you know, too much competitiveness. But that was a good one. And I really did. I have, and he doesn't know he's my nemesis, but I have a gentleman that's my nemesis because he always beats me. But I beat him in 2 of the 3.
Nice.
So I was okay. Once I started thinking about it, I was like, he usually beats me. And if I shot better than him, I must have did something right. So that one was a good one. And then we'll have a couple what they call fun shoots, which are tournaments, but you get maybe 60 to 100 people max. It doesn't get as big.
Yeah.
And then they've got what they call their clay challenge in the first week in March, which will be a big one. And then they have a couple more fun shoots. And then in April, they have what they call their spring classic, which is a big one. I don't think I'm going to shoot the state shoot this year because it's in Heber,
Mm.
and I've shot that course, and nothing against Heber, but I hated it. It is not a fun course for me.
So are most
Targets
of
were really hard. He sets a really hard course,
Mm.
and just the brush, the way he set them, angles, it just wasn't conducive for me to have a good time.
Mhm.
And being so far in Heber
I was gonna say
in
that's a
trap,
trip for you now. That's a long ways away for you to drive to.
right, right, hometown, that's not very far. I can
Right.
shoot it,
Right.
but being from down here and taking the time off of work because state shoots are a 4-day event. You can't get away from it. You have to
Wow.
schedule them out because there's so many people.
Yeah.
So you actually have to schedule your times like a big golf tournament.
Wow.
Uh,
Wow. That's
you have to,
crazy.
yeah. So if you sign up for fee task, it's only shot on certain days and you have times. And
Yeah.
so taking time off work, traveling that far, I was like, yeah, I probably won't do it. And then I heavily considered Nevada state because it's in Vegas, but
Uh-huh.
it's so expensive. I was like, I
Mm.
don't think I can justify it. It's
Yeah.
by the time you sign up, just without the bullets, you're north of $500.
Whew.
And
Jeez.
I was just like, oh, and so what I'm gonna do is, and it's not, it's actually put on by the Scholastic
Mm-hmm.
team. The youth shooters have one that both youth and adults can sign up for in June called the Purgatory Summer Nights.
Mm-hmm.
We call it the all nighter. So
Yeah.
they don't start shooting until 10 o'clock at night.
Oh, you can't do it until 10 o'clock at night because it's too freaking
Yeah,
hot down
yeah,
there.
yeah. So you start shooting at 10 o'clock at night, and then it goes all the way until 7 a.m. the next morning.
Cool.
And I didn't get to shoot it last year, but they have a section that's glow in the dark targets.
Nice. That would be
So they
so
put the
fun.
black light on and stuff. And my dad said it sucked. You can't see your bead very well,
Right.
so it's really feel based.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, but
it would
everybody
be
else is
still-
facing the same challenge, so that would be cool. You know, the scores aren't going to be as high.
No, but it would be pretty fun. And I didn't get to do it last year, but my cousin actually won a belt buckle on that one for the
Nice.
adult.
Nice.
They throw 5 stand and trap,
Uh-huh.
which trap is always hard for me because for me it doesn't hold my focus.
Yeah.
It's just boring to me.
Yeah, it's
I'm not saying
monotonous.
it's incredible. Some of the guys and the way they shoot and to
Oh.
shoot 100 straight, never miss a target. Great talent there. It's so boring to me. I can't do it.
I watched it during the Olympics, watching them do
Yeah.
that trap shooting, and I mean they're amazing. Those guys, yeah, and they're expecting to hit every single pigeon that's thrown. So like,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
impressive.
and I watched Skeet Olympics this year,
Uh-huh.
and I was like, that's awesome.
It is awesome. It's cool.
I've shot Skeet, and the biggest thing with Skeet, it's very feel based.
Yeah.
They're fast.
Yeah.
They're just crossing.
They're all over the
boom.
place.
But it takes a lot of talent to just tap into that instinctual shooting the whole time.
Yeah.
Um,
Takes a
but
lot
yeah,
of mental concentration to be able to do something like that.
Yeah. So them are my big ones. And then in August, if they have it again, I'll probably shoot it again. It was the Iron Man event,
Mhm.
which you had to shoot 3 gun clubs in the same day.
Oh wow, that'd be kind of cool.
100 targets at each one. So it's 300 targets in a day, which for the older guys, they're hurting. But
Yeah.
I don't really start warming up till 150 or
Right.
so. Any shoulder starts to loosen up. Let's keep going.
That's awesome. So most of your tournaments will be there at Purgatory then this year.
Yeah, it's just easy, and we're blessed to really have that.
Yeah.
So close.
That's the
Because
thing.
really, for Southern Utah, if that wasn't there, you've got a really small course in Cedar,
Yep.
and then Vegas, like for a long ways.
Yeah.
Or I go clear to Richfield, like you're talking up there at Wild Goose. I mean, that's pretty much it.
I might have to go over there and go check them out and see if I can. I would never do it like you're doing it, heavy into it. But man, it'd be fun to go just do some shoots, just to have fun and just enjoy.
I'm down here.
What's that?
Yeah. Oh, I was just gonna say, here's the deal. If you come down here on a whim, I still have that other over and under. So I just lend it to you,
yeah.
and we just shoot a fun shoot one of the weekends that it's going.
We should. Tell me when. Let me know when they are. Just shoot me a text and let me know when they are. And if I could come down on a weekend and shoot one with you, I would. Dude, I'd be so up for that. That'd be a blast.
Yeah, and even if you don't want to shoot the whole main event, you just do a sub event or whatever,
Uh-huh.
and just get a feel for it. And
Yeah.
then if you're like, this sucks, you're not out very much.
No, that's the thing. Like, I don't think that if I'm shooting guns, if I'm shooting bows, any of it, like it doesn't suck. It's gonna be fun, or just because I'm in it just for the good time. I'm not in it to win it. It's not something that I do for a living or anything like that. I can go home at night and have fun, but just just to enjoy and just do something different and something fun.
Yeah, well, and you have a hunting background, so like it's pretty funny because I've gotten a few guys into it, work into it a little bit.
Uh-huh.
One guy has zero hunting background, and he's not going to listen, but he's so bad. He's so bad.
I hope he listens.
I hope he does, and I'll just tell him, dude, you got to shoot more. And I told him that because
That's what it comes down to.
I suck.
That's what it comes down to.
I'm like, yeah, but I have a lifetime of bird shooting. You have nothing.
Yeah.
I'm like, you got to realize we're at two different points.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, one of them is a bird hunter, and I'm like, how many birds do you kill? You're not very good.
That's how you're gonna look at me too. You're like, Taryn, how many birds do you actually kill? Because you probably pull the trigger a lot.
I think if the course on a fun shoot, like, because don't get me wrong, state's tough, regionals are unbelievable. I have not even shot a regional, but I watch guys, and I'm like, guys I know and respect and can shoot good, and I see their scores. I'm not to that level yet. I don't have that level of masochist to go shoot that and be like, this is fun, because it's not.
Is that a goal though? Is that what you want to get to, is shooting regionals?
I would love to hit a regional. I actually, one day, just to say I've done it, I know I'm not going to win. I would actually love to go to nationals.
Yeah.
Even if it's just to shoot the main event.
Yeah.
I know, because it can cost you thousands of dollars. There's so much going on.
Right.
I would literally go there, shoot a main event just to say I've done it.
Yeah.
But a regional would be a goal. The problem with regionals, they're just far from us.
Yeah.
Nowhere in Utah really gets one.
Vegas would get one, I would think, wouldn't they?
Vegas gets it once every 4 or 5 years.
There you go.
Phoenix gets one pretty regularly, and then there's a big shooting center in Caldwell, Idaho, and they get it.
Oh yeah, I could see that.
Which is a long run for us. I mean, down here on this end, that's a long shot.
Caldwell, that's up by Boise, right?
Yeah, just west. I can't remember.
I think it's just west of Boise.
Yeah. But it's a big one, and my dad's shot it before on not a regional, but just an event. He's like, it's okay. His favorite up there is there's a gun club in Rockport, Idaho.
Yeah,
and he's like, it's awesome. He loves it. He raves about it all the time. He's like, Rockport's awesome. But that's the beauty. I mean, wherever you're at, especially as you move further east, like if you guys Midwesterners, some of those Southern guys, they have got clubs everywhere.
Yeah, they do.
So
yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, shoot, man, we better wrap this thing up, man. We've been talking clay pigeon shooting for an hour and a half.
Yeah. If anybody wants to talk about shotgun contests or whatever, I'm Seth King on pretty much everything. If you can't find me as Seth King, it's usually got some variation of Duck King or Buck King involved in it. So you'll find me. If you watch on YouTube, if you're putting my face on there, you'll see my face.
Your face will be on there. All podcasts are going on videos now. I think most everybody that's watching this podcast probably knows who you are, Seth. You've been a pretty big part of this.
But some new guy stumbles into it. This guy with the fat head.
Need to get you got some new Ehuntr hats going on here.
I just cut my hair, so I've a lot of forehead going on. Right.
You're supposed to grow it out long. That way your hair comes down to here.
Long. It was out of control not too long. So.
Oh man! All right, man. Well, let's keep chatting on text, and let's get another podcast on the calendar.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. All right, man. We'll talk to you later.
See ya.
All right. See you, buddy. Bye.